calling out Merab Dvalishvili for a fight, to seriously considering retiring from the UFC again. Here's what's next for Henry Cejudo, and I have to start with his call-out to Merab Dvalishvili, which for me makes a lot of sense. The former two-division champ made a post on Instagram indicating that he's not retiring. Instead, he's ready to take on the #1 contender in the division. Things are already getting pretty heated because Merab's a really close friend of Aljo, so yeah, this is what's going on in Henry's mind right now. He even has a date for the fight too. The 36-year-old wrote, "This is far from over." He also tagged Dana White and said he wants Merab's head on a plate. Well, let's just calm down for a bit, Triple C. He also used the hashtag UFC Boston. Cejudo clearly wants the fight to be scheduled on the card in Boston for August 19th, but nothing is confirmed as of yet. UFC commentator John Anik confirmed at UFC 288 that the date and location are still in the works. But before diving into anything further, let's discuss his return first, because it was a miserable night for him. I mean, it was just an unbelievable loss. Aljo won via split decision. It's almost unbelievable that Sterling won, only because one judge scored the 5th round in his favor, while Henry was the dominating force in the last round. Keeping this in mind, that was probably the easiest round to score in Henry's favor. Even still, only the 3rd judge actually did so. And they were absolutely right. But anyway, it was a very close fight. And in the end, the right guy won. No complaints there. Aljo's now gonna get the respect that he always wanted. But what about Triple C? He had a lot of things on his mind. It isn't easy to be in such a big matchup after spending 3 years away. But he was ready. In his mind, he was already the champ. But that didn't quite happen, so now he needs to look ahead and move on. But the thing is, after UFC 288, it really seemed like he wasn't in the best place. Cejudo didn't tell us clearly what he wants next, but he was basically in two minds about whether he should continue fighting or just quit. But after what happened recently, we just might see him fight once again. This brings me to my next point. What good will a fight against the Machine do for Triple C? For one, it might put him back in the title contention. Actually, not might, it most definitely will. The guy received an immediate title shot on his return, despite retiring in 2020. So there's no chance he won't be getting a title shot once again if he defeats Merab. He's one of the biggest stars in the UFC. During his first run with the promotion, he held the bantamweight and the flyweight golds, and his resume is full of wins against some major names. Dominic Cruz, Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, Marlon Moraes, and Sergio Pettis. All of them top fighters, and all of them have fallen to Triple C. So now the big question is Dvalishvili ready to fight him? Well, according to Merab, he's got no problem whatsoever with that fight. It's on, people. Merab's on a 9-fight winning streak, which is the same as Sterling's, who's the record holder in the division. So he needs just one win to make history. The thing is, because of their friendship, Aljo and Dvalishvili have decided that they won't fight each other, ever. This one thing stopping him from getting that title shot that he so badly wants? But it doesn't mean that he can't fight Cejudo in the meantime. The Georgian's currently on the sidelines after suffering an injury 2 weeks prior to his win over Petr Yan. He has his surgery planned in the coming days, but is willing to postpone it even further, only to get his hands on Triple C. Turns out, the Machine also isn't a big fan of surgeries. He said he's delaying his surgery to get a second opinion from some other doctor, and if there's a way to fix this injury without surgery, he's all in for that because this one's a serious injury. Even though Henry's willing to fight while battered up, his team won't allow it. The Georgian himself said that every time he so much as punches a punching bag, it hurts. It hurts so bad that he can't even use that hand again for 20 seconds or so. And you don't want to be fighting with just one hand against someone like Triple C, not even if it's for just 20 seconds, because he's gonna get you. Now, according to Dvalishvili, the ball is in UFC's court, because he's only gonna postpone his surgery for a top fight. At least, that's what the Machine said. He said it all depends on who he's gonna fight next. If it's against a top guy, then Dvalishvili's got no problem delaying the surgery. But if it's against a lower-ranked fighter, like Umar Nurmagomedov, who the UFC previously proposed to him, then he's not willing to risk it. And that makes sense. Like, not to be mean, but where did Umar even come into all of this? I mean, he hasn't even fought a top 15 guy in his career, let alone someone who's the #1 contender in the bantamweight division. Sure, he's a pretty good fighter, but he's gotta earn his shot against the big guys. Even Dvalishvili isn't interested in fighting him. He said that Umar doesn't deserve a fight this big yet. The Georgian only wants Cejudo, so let's hope the UFC gives him this fight. The Machine's willing to fight Henry only after the Sterling and Sean O'Malley fight, and that one's also being targeted for UFC Boston. 2 huge fights in one night? I say, bring it on. But there's one problem with the potential Merab versus Henry fight, and that's the timing. There are a lot of ifs and buts right now regarding that fight. The whole world now knows that this is the only fight Cejudo wants, and that it's the fight the Machine wants as well. But the biggest hurdle in this fight is Merab's injury, because Cejudo's ready for it. But is Dvalishvili really fit for this fight? After his win against Jan, the UFC wanted Merab to fight for the title, but he refused because Aljo's the champ right now. Then they wanted him to fight Umar. He refused again because of his injury and because Umar was not deserving of this fight. Now, the UFC's frustrated. According to the Georgian, the UFC wanted to punish him for refusing the title fight, and that's why they proposed the fight against Umar. But in the end, it all comes down to business. And I don't think the UFC will stand in the way of Cejudo versus Dvalishvili, but what if he undergoes surgery? Then, a return to the octagon in August is totally off the cards for him. He'll need to spend at least 6 to 8 weeks in rehab before even thinking about a return. Another option for him is to wait until Aljo moves up to featherweight, cause Sterling's planning to do it. And then Dvalishvili is free to fight for the vacant title. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, but let's see how this one unfolds. And if this fight doesn't happen for Cejudo, there's also someone else waiting for him. Brandon Moreno has called out Triple C for a fight. Oh yeah, while we all were getting excited for Cejudo's matchup against the Machine, we missed that Moreno also wants a piece of Triple C. In an Instagram post, the flyweight champ asked Henry not to retire and said that once he wins his fight in July, it's just you and me in the octagon. He's even willing to come up to 135 pounds for this fight, and he wants it to be the main event in Mexico City. Henry also didn't turn down this fight entirely. He said it all depends on the money both of them will make out of it. Of course, the money talks. If there's a big budget for this fight, then Henry isn't against it at all. But he isn't going to do it in Mexico. He's willing to fight him in America or somewhere else, but not in Mexico. Now Moreno's already scheduled to defend his title on July 8th, and Triple C's eyeing a fight in August. So is it really going to happen? Will Henry wait even longer for his next fight? Or will he just push for the Merab fight? No one's too sure about what's gonna happen. Oh, and there's one more thing. I know everyone's excited to see Cejudo back in action again, but did you know that if it wasn't for this one person, we wouldn't even be talking about these fights? I'm talking about his coach who talked him out of retirement. Yes, Captain Eric is the one who motivated him to fight again. Henry was devastated after his loss at UFC 288. He didn't ever want to fight again. The guy was seriously considering retirement from the sport. Eric played a huge role in calming him down. He was the one who told him that it wasn't over yet. Heck, Eric was the one who suggested Dvalishvili's name to him. We only have one man to thank for all this, and he's Captain Eric. So, there you have it. From seriously considering retirement once again, to calling out Dvalishvili for a fight. This was what's next for Henry Cejudo.